Right now, there is a silent, microscopic war being waged inside your body. It isn't a battle that might happen in the future, it is happening this very second. Whether you are 45, 60 or 85, you are currently carrying thousands of microscopic clusters of cancer cells. This isn't medical speculation, it's a proven anatomical fact. When we perform autopsies on individuals who died of unrelated accidents, the findings are chilling. 40% of women in their 40s have microscopic breast cancer. 50% of men in their 50s have microscopic prostate cancer. By age 70, nearly 70% of the population is walking around with microscopic thyroid cancer. Yet for most people, these hitchhikers never become a disease. They never grow. They never kill. The great untruth in modern oncology is that cancer is a stroke of genetic bad luck. After 20 years in the ER and studying metabolic medicine, I can tell you that cancer isn't just a cell problem. It's an environmental problem. Your body is the soil. Whether those microscopic seeds wither and die or explode into a life-threatening tumor depends entirely on whether you are fanning the flames or starving the fire. Hi, I'm Dr. Brooks. I've spent 2 decades as an investigative clinician, and today we are going to look at the biology of tumor starvation. We're going to discuss the 5 specific foods that act as biological off-switches for cancer growth. In this investigation, we will uncover the 16,000x explosion. How a harmless speck the size of a pen tip can grow into a deadly mass in just 4 days by hijacking your plumbing. The guardian bacteria. Strategy. Why your ability to survive cancer might depend on a single species of bacteria that lives in your gut mucus. The DNA power wash. A specific seedling that contains 100 times more medicine than the mature vegetable. The Brooks protocol. The exact steeping times, temperatures and dosages used in human clinical trials to force cancer into dormancy. To understand how to stop this, you have to understand the angiogenesis switch. Imagine a tiny, rogue village. Without roads to bring in food and water, that village cannot expand. It stays small and insignificant. This is a microscopic cancer. It can grow to about 2 millimeters, the tip of a ballpoint pen, and then it hits a biological wall. It cannot get bigger because it has no blood supply. But cancer is clever. It releases a fertilizer protein called VEGF that tricks your body into building a private highway of blood vessels directly to the tumor. Once those pipes connect, the tumor is no longer starving. It receives oxygen. It receives glucose. It grows 16,000 times its original size in 2 weeks. This is the hidden danger I see in the ER. We often catch cancer after the highways have been built. But as an investigator, I'm interested in the anti-angiogenic defense. Your body has the power to say no to those blood vessels, and that power is dictated by what you put on your fork. We also have to talk about chronic inflammation. Think of this as a low-grade fire burning in your tissues. When you have high levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, or interleukin-6, you are essentially pouring gasoline on those microscopic cancer seeds. Cancers thrive in inflammation. It tells them to divide, to ignore stop signals, and to grow. But there is a specific beverage, one used for thousands of years, that contains a compound so potent it can reduce these inflammatory markers by 50%, while simultaneously cutting off the tumor's highway system. But 90% of people are preparing it in a way that actually destroys the medicine. Continue. To understand the power of the biological off-switch, we have to look at the green tea protocol. In the laboratory, I've studied a compound called EGCG, astuine epigallocatechin gallate. It's a natural chemical that, when brewed correctly, acts as a triple threat to cancer. It lowers inflammation markers like C-reactive protein by up to 50%. It boosts your natural killer cells by nearly 47%, and most importantly, it is anti-angiogenic. But here is the insider warning. Most people are actually damaging this medicine before it ever hits their lips. If you pour boiling water directly onto green tea, you are scalding the delicate kakins and destroying the very compounds that starve tumours. The Meyer-Brooks protocol for tea is precise. Heat your water to exactly 180 degrees. Pour 8 week on steaming, not boiling. If you don't have a thermometer, let boiling water sit for 3 minutes before pouring. Steep for 5 minutes. This allows the EGCG to dissolve without being destroyed. For the maximum elite soldier response seen in Japanese studies, where colon and stomach cancer rates drop by 40 to 50%, you need turmeric 2 to 3 cups daily. If you want a 10x concentrated dose, use 1 teaspoon of Equus matcha powder. Whisked into hot water. You're consuming the entire leaf, not just the infusion. The second biological off switch is the cruciferous defense, broccoli. This family, broccoli, Brussels sprouts and kale, contains sulforaphane. This molecule is a master regulator. It tells your cells to turn on over 200 cancer-fighting genes. But I've seen patients throw away the most medicinal part of the plant for decades. The Saab broccoli stalk contains twice the concentration of sulforaphane as the florets. And if you want the nuclear option for DNA repair, you look to broccoli sprouts. These 3-day-old seedlings contain 100 times or more sulforaphane than the mature plant. A study at Johns Hopkins showed that just 2 ounces of these sprouts daily dropped cancer biomarkers by 60% in just 3 months. Then we have the tropical shield, Beata papaya. Most people view this as a simple fruit, but as an investigator, I see it as a delivery vehicle for Isiki beta-cryptoxanthin, arginine. This compound has a unique homing ability. It concentrates in your lung tissue. Harvard research followed 70,000 women and found those with high intake had a 31% lower risk of lung cancer, even among former smokers. I hear the great untruth all the time. Doctor, doesn't the sugar in fruit feed the cancer? This is a dangerous oversimplification. Cancer cells use glucose, yes, but so does your brain and every muscle in your body. The issue is the insulin spike from processed sugars. Whole fruit like papaya is packaged with fibre that slows absorption, preventing the growth signal spike that tumours love. Eat the whole fruit, avoid the juice. But there is a hidden player in this protocol that deals with the roots of cancer, the stem cells. When a patient is declared cancer-free, it often means the bulk of the tumour is gone, but the dandelion seeds, the cancer stem cells, remain. Standard chemotherapy often misses these. However, there is a specific pigment found in a rare vegetable that has been shown to kill colon cancer stem cells while leaving healthy cells completely untouched. Continue. This is where the investigative clinician finds the ultimate leverage. Most of my patients in the ER believe that once a tumour is surgically removed, the threat is over. But cancer has a hidden root system. Think of a dandelion. You can mow the yellow flower, but if the root remains, it will return. These are cancer stem cells. Most conventional treatments kill the flower, the bulk of the tumour, but they often miss the roots. However, researchers at Penn State discovered that anthocyanins, the deep pigments found in purple potatoes, actually kill these stem cells. In laboratory models of colon cancer, purple potato extract triggered a selective toxicity. It killed the cancer seeds while leaving the healthy colon lining completely unharmed. But there is a specific way to prepare these to unlock a metabolic cascade. I tell my patients, cook them, then let them cool. This process creates resistant starch. These starch molecules rearrange so they don't spike your blood sugar. Instead, they travel to your colon and feed your beneficial gut bacteria. Those bacteria ferment the starch into short-chain fatty acids that smother inflammation. You get the anti-cancer pigment and the anti-inflammatory fuel in one bite. This leads us to the final and perhaps most critical biological off-switch: pomegranate. I have seen patients with rising PSA levels, a blood marker for prostate cancer activity, slow their PSA doubling time from 15 months to 54 months just by adding 8 ounces of pomegranate juice daily. That is the difference between needing aggressive, side-effect-heavy treatment and having a stable, manageable condition. The secret is L-gitannins. When you drink that tart, ruby-red juice, your gut bacteria break those tannins down into urolithins. These compounds are powerfully anti-angiogenic, but they do something even more profound. They build the habitat for Akkermansia. Remember, Akkermansia is the general that tells your immune system to attack cancer. It lives in your gut mucus. Pomegranate stimulates your body to produce more mucus, giving the general a bigger fortress to live in. One single bacteria species can be the difference between life and death in advanced cancer treatment. The Weich ain't a Brooksmaster. Protocol for total body repair is simple but must be consistent. Morning: 2 cups of green tea, 175 ml, steeped 5 mins. Mid-morning: 1 cup of fresh papaya. Lunch: plus 2 cup of broccoli sprouts, the DNA power wash. Dinner: 1 cup of cooked and cooled purple potatoes. Evening: 8 ounces of 100% pomegranate juice. I've seen patients over 60, people who felt their health was a sinking ship, turn their biomarkers around in as little as 30 days using this system. You are not a victim of your age or your genes. You are the architect of your internal environment. Every sip of tea and every bite of fibre is a message to your security patrol to wake up and get to work. The fear of a diagnosis is real. It can paralyze you. But as a physician who has seen the worst-case scenarios, I'm telling you, action is the antidote to fear. You can't control the mutations that happened yesterday, but you can control the blood supply and the inflammation of tomorrow. If you want to know which healthy foods are actually sabotaging this defense, the ones hiding in your pantry right now, watch my next investigation. I'm going to expose the common breakfast foods that are fanning the flames of systemic inflammation. I have a question for you. Have you ever noticed how your body reacts to a high-fibre meal versus a processed one? Drop your experience in the comments. I read them to see what clinical patterns we should investigate next. Keep investigating. Dr. Brooks out.